Hans and Christy, this is Donnie again. I wanted to show you this tutorial on how to add pages to your site or make modifications or changes to current pages on your site. What you always want to do is, again, what I'm referencing here is any of these pages here. Let's say we wanted to change something on that page or even our tasty history page. Let's use this as an example. Let's say we wanted to change some of the text here. What you do is you go to your dashboard. This is the section you want to focus on, the pages. If it's not already, click the arrow to expose the two. Let's talk about editing first. So if I hit edit, what you see here are all the different pages on your site. Now, what a lot of times people look at is they say, when I look at this page, this is the only pages that I see, but there actually may be more pages kind of behind the scenes, if you will. And I'll talk about that. Well, just know that there are some pages like this. We appreciate your message. You're never going to find that anywhere on. It's kind of what we call a supporting page. It's a page on your site that you can't see with just even clicking around. But let's go to our Tasty History page. Let's say you wanted to edit that page. Once you go here, this is in somewhat of the order that you see the navigation bar. You see the About Swiss Pastry, and then there's this dash, which means it's a sub-menu, just like this is. The bakery and the deli, there's the bakery and deli. Now this, and then it goes to menus, and see here's another page that's kind of a supporting page. Then you have the supporting menus underneath the word menus, breakfast, bakery, lunch, cake prices, which match up to these there right here. And then you go on down the road. So let's look for the one. Let's say you want to change the about our tasty history. Again, we go to this page. I would not use, obviously don't delete the page unless you know you're going to delete it. Don't worry about quick edit. The best one is just to use the edit button here, and that's what this is. So I'll click that. Now, when you're editing a page, there's two things. Very first thing you want to look at is these two tabs right here. Now, notice the tab that's in gray. This one's kind of a light gray. That means this is the active one, is the darker gray. Maybe hard to see for the tutorial, but you'll see it when you log in. This is the HTML, because any site that you create is always got it's how it's created is HTML code, and that's what you see all of this information here. But in more of a kind of user-friendly, what they call a WYSIWYG, what you see is what you get type of approach, they have a visual tab, and that's all for the rest of us that don't understand HTML code very well. And for the most part, what you see on here is what you're going to get. It may be a little different, which is why you kind of have to get used to and accustomed to playing around on the site. All right, so if let's say you want to change, there's a couple things you could change on here. Number one, let's say you wanted to change this, and you didn't want to say our tasty history, but you wanted to say our tasty history part 2. Okay, if I was to update the page right here, go over to refresh, you can see that makes that change. Now I'm going to go ahead and take that off because I don't think we want that for this. I'll update it. I'll refresh my page, and that takes that back off. Now this here is an image. What we did on this particular one is when we added the image, we added it as a thumbnail and allowed you so that if you hyperlink this, it actually hyperlinks to the original. I'll show you that real quickly on this, and this is what we do on a lot of the images on the page. You see that chain link, and then there's a broken chain link. What you want to focus on, if we looked at click the chain link, it brings up this. See this? This is the URL that's created for the that particular image. That's the full size image. The reason is this is more of the thumbnail, so if I click that, that's the more full size image. And you see that right there is all that right there. So I'm going to cancel that. And you see what you now. One little tidbit when you're editing a page, see this? There's right here. It's kind of hard to see. I'm going to try to move my mouse because I know I've got kind of a yellow highlight over it. if you pull that down, click and drag it, make that a little bit larger. I don't know why they made it so small to begin with, but you make that a little larger and see that. So there, it's a little bit easier to see. All the text that you see here, go back to the page, and you see that this is kind of done in a Times Roman type of font. Over here, it's a little different font. That is because that's just the makeup of the site. These little editors here, these visual editors, are all done the same way. The same type font is pretty much what you're going to get here. But there's a back end side to the page, to the website, that tells you when you type something, this is the font it goes in. We can look at changing that if we wanted to, but for the most part, we'll just probably leave that alone. But this is where if you found a problem, or maybe you wanted to let's say maybe you wanted to change that date there, or anything along this page you wanted to change. If you wanted to change the picture out, you could do that. If you wanted to add more text below this, you can do that. For the most part, this is kind of a simple, if you could use Word, it's pretty simple. You can bold, italicize things. You can underline things. You can put bullet points, numbers, centering. There's a spell check on here too. One thing that you'd be very careful about when you're editing a page is, let's say that I've got all of my data typed out in Word. Word, believe it or not, even though it looks just like plain text, it actually has formatting. And when you try to take and copy and paste items directly from Word to this, it just doesn't look very well, because it adds its own formatting in addition to the formatting that's on the website, and it doesn't look good. So if you had some items on Word, what I would do is you would take your items from Word, copy those, and let's say you wanted to add those right here. Rather than just pasting in from Word, you can do it one of two ways. You can paste it from Word, or the one I kind of default to, because this works in other words from Word or anywhere else, is you place this plain text. If you click that, it opens up a little box. And here's the thing, and then this is where if I went to paste in my information, it pastes it there, and then I just simply insert it. And what that does is it strips out all of the Word code, so that it's just got plain text. So now the formatting matches more the formatting of your website. If I was to then go update the page, once I'm done, I could go over and refresh my page. And once it's done, I think it's done refreshing, you can see here that it's added this text down here at the bottom. So that's simply how you would do that. You would make any changes. Now I'm going to go in and delete that because we don't want that on here. Update the page and go from there. The other thing that you might want to look at doing is, if you are wanting to, a good example of this would be, let's say you look at the menus. You got breakfast, bakery, lunch, and cake prices. Let's say you wanted to add a menu on here that says brunch, and you wanted it between the bakery and the lunch page. I'll give you an example of that. Let's go back to Edit Pages. And right here, you have these different ones here. Let's say you wanted to add a new one, but what we have to do, and I'll click on the Edit Bakery here. The bakery, it's the second one down. Okay, there's a reason these are placed in the order they are, and that's where you find down here. It's listed under the menus. Otherwise, it defaults to that. But we said when we created it, we're going to create the menu, and we're going to put it in order 2. So if you ever wanted to add something in between there, let's say you wanted to add a brunch in between breakfast and bakery, then you would have to change the bakery to 3, lunch to 4, and cake prices to 5, because you would have another one kind of right in between here. So that's a little bit of information on how to edit a page. I'm going to go and do another tutorial about how to add a new page and some things that you want to think about on that.